How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to our Cisco Enterprise series where we're continuing our discussion on the BGP best path selection algorithm. In this video, we're going to be taking another look at the IGP metric to the next hop, and we're going to look at it from a multi-path perspective and see exactly how that's going to come into play. So we're going to dive right into it. What I'm going to do here in our lab is, if we look at what we did on router 26 in the previous video with eBGP over iBGP and then IGP to BGP next hop, we were able to change the BGP next hop to be router 60 from 26 because we changed the metric value for OSPF to make 42 look worse than 60. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust that, and we're going to see what I need to do and make sure that that's the same. So I think do show run interface gig 0/1. I think I gave it a cost of 5. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to set the cost to, I think it was, what was it before? It was a cost of 2. So I need to bump this up. I'll give it a cost of 2. That should be enough. And let's see if that does the job. So now it's a cost of 3. So if I look at this now, so they're both the same. And so it's going back to 42 because we had the lower router ID. And that's where 42 becomes the best path again, because lower router ID. So now we're going to go this way again, lower router ID. Now, this would be one of those times where internally, though, because they have the same cost, and we have, if we look back at the best path selection algorithm here, get all the way down towards the bottom. When we get down to here, when we get down to iBGP multipath, there needs to be right here. So the path must be learned from an internal BGP peering. The IGP metric to the BGP best next hop must be equal to the best path IGP metric, which it is. So right now we have the IGP best, the metric is equal from 4 to 42 and to 60. So with that being the case, we can do iBGP multipath in this case. And the way we would do that is we would go to global config, router BGP 1, and underneath here we type in multipath, do show run section BGP. Under address family IPv4 unicast, we would come underneath here and we'd type in maximum paths, and I would be able to do 2. Okay, so the moment I do 2, and I come in here and I do show IPBGP, we should see where we'll do a clear IPBGP star soft to get that to trigger. And the goal would be to have multiple paths. I might have to do the iBGP command. Do show run section BGP. So we'll go back underneath here. And underneath here we'll type in maximum paths iBGP multipath 2. Maybe that's what I was looking for. So do clear IPBGP star soft and do show IPBGP. There we go. That's what did it. So even though we have quad 8 or reachable of both paths, if I do that command again, but for quad 8/32, we are going to, the metric is the same, and that's the key factor here. This is how you get multipath to work. Internal this way, multipath here. So what would that look like from this side here? We would just do a trace route to quad 8. It's not going to look any different, right? It's going to still, that's because I think I've got something still working in place here. I might have to pause to manipulate, but I'm going to go ahead and save my config here just before I have a problem with that. Let me go make a quick manipulation and we'll fix that. Okay, so let's try that one more time. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but we're going to run it again. Okay, same outcome. Now, what's happening here from a control plane perspective, if we look on show IP route, we are supposedly, for quad 8, we're installing routes to both next hops. This is what it would look like in the routing table. We are sending traffic both to 60 and to 42. Now, if I was to pull this out, show run section BGP, and say pull this command, go to global config, and we'll pull this command out and this command out, and do clear IP BGP star soft, and do show IP BGP. We're going to lose that multipathing capability, and do show IP route. We're only going to install one best path, and that's going to be to the actual best path. So when you do multipath, you need to be going to, you're going to be installing both routes. So it's going to allow you to load balance, essentially, how that would work. So there are some benefits to doing multipath, but I wanted to show you that because it's something that comes into play with when you've got equal metrics. But if you go back to the way it was, and we look at it from 26's perspective with show IP BGP, and we look at quad 8, we're going to be going based off the lower router ID in this particular case here. So because we're using the lower router ID, that's where that one comes into play. But I wanted you guys to see how that comes into play in terms of the day-to-day stuff. If you've got equal metrics to the next hop, you are candidate for multipath. So basic example there. So with that being said, we have covered pretty much all of the different best path selection algorithm capabilities we can. There are, like I said, the ones that we can really manipulate are going to be weight, local preference, local origination, AS path, origin, and med, and IGP metric. There are other options out here, like you can do lowest, when you got this one here, you're a candidate for multipath if you want to take that into consideration, but your oldest peering will always win, so the one that's been up the longest, you always take that because it's stable. And then you have your lowest router ID, which is the one we're currently looking at. So lowest router ID will win. And then the shortest cluster list if you're doing route reflection, and the lowest neighbor address if they're coming basically from the same cluster, then you have to go to lowest neighbor address. There's got to be a tiebreaker somewhere. So that's essentially where we're at with that. Now I did bypass med in this particular in this section. Look at the fact that it's I was in a hurry to get through the bulk of them because I knew what I could demo very, very quickly. So I'm going to circle back to med. It'll be above this video once it's recorded, but I haven't recorded this video yet because there's a couple different flavors to med that we're going to have to go over. So now that we've covered all of that, and I'm going to circle back to med at a later point in time because it's just as easy to manipulate, we're going to go ahead and start diving into how you can start doing, you got weight and local preference if you wanted to do with AS path and med. So there's a lot of options you can work with, best path selection with origin, so on and so forth. So router IDs. So we're going to start looking at, we'll do BFD as well. We're going to start looking at aggregation, and then we'll take a look at communities, and then we'll start taking a look at traffic engineering with communities, filtering, regular expressions. There's going to be a lot of additional stuff that we're going to be taking a look at. Outbound route filtering, inbound route filtering, software configuration. We took a look at that and how that comes into play. So there's a lot of other stuff that we're going to be taking a look at that are going to go beyond what you guys have already seen. So there's a lot left. So communities will come into play. We'll be taking a look at how that comes. We'll definitely get into suppressed maps, unsuppressed maps, conditional advertisements, things like that. So we're also going to be taking a look at what do you call it? Add path and best external and things like that. So there's a lot left to dive into. So don't think we're done yet. We're still got a lot left, and we're almost 20 videos in. We're at 18 videos right now. I still, in a best path selection, I still got to do a few videos for med. Probably, I don't think I'm going to do one big one. I'll probably do a couple smaller ones. But I don't really know exactly how I'm going to do that. But bottom line here is there's still a lot left to configure. And then we still have to use community values to trigger stuff, and then take a look at communities and confederations and non-confederations, stuff like that. So still a lot left to cover. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already done so, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch all of you guys in the next video.